Hey everybody, welcome back. I got another video, and this is going to be a little bit of a behind the scenes, not necessarily a tutorial, but there's going to be plenty of good information, but I'm going to show you how I filmed this. So what I used was virtual production because I did not have a kitchen to film in. Using a Back to the Roots grow kit for microgreens. I've used them a few times. They're pretty reliable, and they're just kind of fun little systems to use. For the motion control, I'm going to be using Kessler Crane. You can be using their CineShooter Plus with a CineSlider and focus and a turntable and all of that. And let's just go ahead and dive in because this was a fun shoot, and I can't wait to show you. Okay, here we are in the studio. I got the red light ambiance going. What we have here is the virtual production setup we're going to be using for this shoot with the microgreens. So we got a 55-inch TV to work as the volume. I've got a CineSlider with a second shooter motor attached to it in order for the forward and back. And then I also have a CineShooter and a CineDrive focus control on here. And in the very front, I got a second shooter pan set up in order to do a rotation. Now you might be wondering why we're set this way rather than left and right, because honestly, in a 4-axis system, in many ways the slide is the most important because that actually displaces the location of the camera and will change the actual perspective of which it sees and gives that parallax. Well, in this case, we don't have a lot of room to be going left and right, and what I'm going to do instead is probably do a pull back while I am rotating the entire planet with it. See, with this kind of a setup, with a very small space, you can actually simulate spinning around the subject through the whole world. So you can hit almost 360, well, all 360 degrees of it. So that's kind of a fun trick that gets a pretty dynamic look. So we're going to go ahead and start getting everything programmed on the computer and get that going. Okay, this is the scene I think I want to work with this one. It's nicely built. Everything looks really good. You know, pretty high quality. There's a little bit of a video game look to it with a lot of these, but most of this will be slightly out of focus anyway, so that's not terribly important. The one thing I just kind of wish I had more in here is plants. That's what I'm looking at doing. So if we go to Ultimate Farming, so I actually keep all my levels in the same project. So what I'm going to do is go into Ultimate Farming, and we're going to go to Meshes, and I'm going to find, and kind of look through here. We got a lot of different plants I can bring in because the problem is this looks to me a little bit too clinical. I want to green it up a little bit. So what I want to try to do is find something that looks like it would be okay in there. Like, let's try this jasmine. See, I mean, it's not really the easiest to see what it is. It's just something that's going to be in the room to give a little bit more color in here. Here's like a pepper plant. No, we don't want that. Get some flowers over in the corner. We can always throw them in a vase if we need to, but it's probably not going to be necessary because what I'm not trying to do is just completely deck this thing out with realistic plants. They're all going to be blown out of focus a bit. So I'm just looking to get some more color into this scene. Let's go back up towards the top. I thought they had the beans looked, yeah. We'll go with the beans there. And then we're going to copy and put one over here. Yeah, it's a little bit silly, but like I said, for this it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, use what you got. Let's go ahead and stretch it up though. Make these things go up to the ceiling, flanking that door. Okay. And over here, I want a banana. I'm doing a lot of work with bananas recently. In fact, we'll ditch this thing because this looks terrible. I'm going to go to plants. We're going to take this banana, put it right over here. And we need something. Let's move this over in the corner. Maybe we can see if we can get some extra light for it. And mostly I'm just, like I said, I just want to get more color into this scene because I thought it was just way too dark. Okay. I feel this looks pretty good. We're probably going to be making quite a few changes. But let's go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to probably think I want to shoot from this table. You know, and maybe I can get shoots where I'm spinning around the subject and pulling back. So let's get rid of this plant because it's in the way. Ooh, there's a bunch of them in there, isn't there? Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and we're just gonna grab all of these. I'm pretty sure that's all them. Yep. Okay. So these kits are pretty easy to use. I've done them before. You basically just take the cocoa fiber puck and you just put some water on it, and I figured why not film this too. I use little time-lapse cameras from a company called Atlee in my studio quite often to get behind the scenes and just some interesting B-roll footage. I also ran a quick time-lapse with the Kessler equipment just to give this a bit of a dry run, and I'm glad I did, because if you look at the upper right, you'll see some reflections that need to be taken care of before I do the final shoot. I've done quite a bit of filming with Kessler gear so far, and I've always been impressed with its ease of use and just how smoothly everything works. Once the cocoa fiber is expanded, you spread it out in the bottom of a provided tray. This provides the growing medium for the plants. I was a little bit concerned though, because I had a hard time spreading it out to all four corners evenly across the whole surface. I was worried that this might have actually caused a problem, and it actually did, and we'll see more about that later. After you spread out the growing medium, it's time to plant the seeds. All you need to do is just shake the seeds out on the very top. You don't have to worry about burying them, they will germinate right where they are. Last step is to put on the lid, and then you wait 2 days and you should have some seeds germinating. Okay, so I'm probably just going to be using that black platter for this, and I'm just going to have it sitting on this table and probably just have it elevating, just floating a little bit, and that's should be able to lock everything into the environment quite nicely. But there's some things that I'm kind of looking at that I want to make sure that I take care of. One of those things is if you look over at some of these plants, they're moving. So I don't want the plants to move. I want them to be still. So I'm just going to kind of go in and see if I can dig into their blueprints. Okay, and what we're looking for is world offset, world position offset. And if you look at this, this normally will be linked into some kind of a wind and interaction. So I'm just going to get this and delete it, and I'm going to save it. Because I don't want these things moving around, because I'm doing a time lapse and I don't want them just flickering around in the background. So save, get rid of that. See if there's anything else that looks like it's going to have this problem. It doesn't look like it. I think things are looking pretty good in here, and the lighting is looking pretty good. I might have some concerns on some of these reflections, depending if whether or not they're actually moving and doing anything, because sometimes they will, and on a time lapse it can definitely cause you some problems, but I think they look okay. So let's go ahead and get the rest of this finished setting up for the virtual production portion. So I'm going to go back into Window, and we're going to go to View, or Virtual Production, Window, Virtual Production, and Live Link. And I want to make sure that I'm getting Live Link on this, because it kicked in and it's got a preset, so it looks like it should be working. Let's go ahead and go to Chaos, and let's just move this and make sure, okay, we're seeing signal there, and then Planet, we're seeing signal. But the question is, are we seeing it move in the scene? So let's try that. Move this over a little bit so I can see it. Get Chaos. Okay, so Chaos does show. Just want to make sure that's set up right, and then we're going to go back into the end display. So we're going to edit end display, and I want to just make sure I have all the camera information and stuff correct, as well as make sure it's got the right IC VFX camera. See, it didn't see it, so here we go. hate these things. They just take forever to get rid of. Okay, so that was probably why earlier I had tried this and that wasn't working. So I think we're good there. We're going to go back here. I'm going to go back to the camera. And then, no, not the in-camera VFX. I want to go to Cinema Camera Actor. And we are going to change this to a ASPC Canon. And then what we're going to look for is focus distance. I'm going to set that to 50 centimeters. Oops. And that's going to blow everything out of focus in the back. Generally, I try to keep it as close to what really is there, but you know, it doesn't really matter too much because the actual focusing in the lens does a good job of increasing and decreasing bokeh. We're going to be 35 millimeters through 2.8. That all looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and save. And just want to make sure that was right. And then we're going to go ahead and close this. Okay, so now it's going to be 2 days until we can start shooting this, but I want to go ahead and set this move up because in 2 days I'm going to probably be busy on something else, and I'd rather just be able to come in and get this started. So let's go ahead and come over to Chaos, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here, right click on this, and go to delete all axis. Yes. Okay. Okay. And we are just going to go ahead and bring this in. I want to start out nice and close. In fact, I want to start as pretty much as close as I can get. Okay, and now I'm going to spin the planet. Oh, no, still in that planet. Okay, I want to bring that tray, square it right up with the camera. And we're going to turn this out and over. Pull this off so we can see. Okay, bring this down. This is that new Laowa 35mm sword lens, one of their sword lineups. I'm really excited on this one. Alright, let's pull that focus in. Perfect. Start right about there. So you pan. I really want to bring this in and square that up with the camera. Okay, just like that. All right. So we're going to go over to our first keyframe, and I'm going to go select keyframe to all axis. Now we're going to go all the way over to the end, and I am going to pull this back quite a bit. I want to be able to get everything in frame. Slide out some more. Tilt this up. Ideally, I want to try to get all of it in frame, but I'm probably not going to go a whole lot further back. This will be capturing in the 3x4 or 2:3 aspect anyway. Okay, and then let's go ahead and rotate the planet. You may notice a little bit of a stuttering with Unreal Engine, and the cause of this is actually just the computer. It's an older computer, about 8 years old, with a 1080 Ti processor, and when running on display with all the lighting, all I can get is about anywhere from 6 to 8 frames per second. However, for time-lapse, this is more than adequate, and you really don't need a whole lot of processing power in order to get really cool clips. But if you're going to be doing real-time, you are going to need to put a little bit extra money into it. Okay, fun. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and lock in this keyframe. So set keyframe to all axis. And then we're just going to go ahead and do a live movement on this real quick and kind of see how this looks. The focus can be kind of tough to catch in the first few inches, so we're going to need to just basically scrub through this. So I'm going to hit stop, scrub. See, I feel like tilt. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up a little bit. Add keyframe to selected axis, and then we need to make sure that this focus is good. Okay, right about here. I'm going to go add keyframe to selected axis, and then we're going to keep scrubbing out. Okay, and pan. Nope, pan. Come on, pan. Let's go. Oops. I'm going to center that a little bit. Do add keyframe to selected axis, so that's pan, and then focus. Oops, that's not what I want. Focus. Let me see. I think that looks pretty good. Go ahead and add keyframe to selected axis. Now we're going to continue to scrub out. Okay. That looks pretty good. Tilt. Let's go ahead and a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to apply to selected axis. Focus. Let me check. I think focus looks good. Apply to selected axis. Then we're going to keep on going. To the end. Okay, I like it. So let's go ahead and run this live. So I'm going to do load. Do you want to move from the current position? No. Alright, I'm bringing it back in. Really like this sword burn lens. I really like the quality of it. I like how close you can get, and I like the price is absolutely amazing too. Okay, so I think that we have this. Let's go ahead and do a live move. Okay, I'm excited. I think it looks pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit stop, and we're going to go to load, and we're going to bring it back to the beginning. I'm going to cover up the thing. This on here. And we're going to start this in 2 days. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, it's been 2 days and everything here looks good. It's ready to go. So we're just going to go ahead and kick this thing into action and get it moving. So things started off pretty good. I was happy with how things were going. The plants were growing, but if you look, I had a real difficult time keeping this thing moist. And the problem ended up being there just wasn't enough cocoa fiber in there to hold and retain all the moisture. Also compound the fact that I'm running my studio at about 85-90 degrees because I'm filming a lot of bananas and they like it really hot. So it was just a really bad situation. In the end, I ended up having to redo this shoot. As you can see, using 2 of those cocoa fiber pucks instead of just 1 definitely made the situation a lot easier for the plants. They were able to grow and they were able to retain moisture, and it didn't just dry out instantly overnight. However, in true studio time-lapse fashion, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and then disaster happened. But I just watered it to see if it would continue, and I enjoyed the way that the result came out on this, and nobody's paying me for this time-lapse anyway. So I went ahead and just let it run so I could finish off this video. On this next angle, you can see in the monitor that the plants are doing far better than they did the first time. This Atlee cam does pretty good, but it struggles with real high contrast situations, which this one was, and it overexposed a little bit. I tried to bring it back down, but this is kind of what we got. And then you can see everything's growing and looking good, and then overnight, it dried out. The next morning, I saw this and went ahead and gave it some water, and up they went, and they finished their shoot. While it's unfortunate there was a mid-level dry out, I am still happy with how this shoot went and to see all these plants growing and just stretching out. Of course, you have to be careful. They can be pretty messy little guys and drop a lot of little bits of dirt and caps, so you have to keep that clean. That can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. Despite the dry out, I was pretty pleased with the rest of the footage. I thought that adding the extra cocoa powder definitely made a difference, and while I could run this again, I'd really like to move on to another project. And this is really just to kind of give a different use case scenario of virtual production. Okay, I'll admit, I'm a little bit bummed out about that little death of the plants and when they went down and came back up. I tried to stay on top of that. I was out there every morning and every night making sure that it was nice and moist and had plenty of water in there. I had double the cocoa fiber that originally called for, and I thought in general it went really well. Just unfortunately, I need to get this equipment out and working on some other projects that are getting a little bit more time sensitive, and I have to hop on those. But I wanted to go ahead and take this footage and put something together so you can see the virtual production can be done on a small scale, and it has a lot of uses. It doesn't have to be something where you have dozens of people working on it. This is great for animators. It's great for product photographers, anybody that's doing any kind of product work. For sure, this is wonderful. I mean, you can shoot tequila on a beach if you live in North Dakota. It's just not that big of a deal. But I hope that this was useful. I hope it was entertaining, and be sure to hit like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.